Welcome to the Crimson Engine. My name is 𝙎𝙬𝙗𝙎. If you only had to take one light to a film set and you wanted to get as much versatility out of it as possible, my choice would be a single chip-on-board LED, something like the Lupo Movielight 300, like this guy here. It is a Bowens mount, dual color, adjustable level LED. And it's internally ballasted, meaning this is the whole light. You can plug it into the wall or you can attach a battery to it, but there are no other power packs or mounting plates or anything else you need to put on it. The whole light is right here. If you take off the reflector, you can see that the LED itself is covered by this little rubber protector, so you're not going to get your finger grease on it if you accidentally touch it. And it's basically a very bright, super solidly made, all-in-one light package. When Lupo sent me this, I was kind of interested to know how I could make a video out of it because I've already covered using hard lights unmodified. So what I decided to do was see how many different lighting setups I could get out of a single light. And these are the four I came up with. The smash bounce, Ridley Scott from the '80s version, pushing it through a 6x6 diffusion, using a Bowens light box on it, and bouncing it off an overhead white card. As you can see, all of these look like good lighting setups, despite the fact that there's only one single source in all of them. They're easy for talent and crew to work around because there's not heaps of stands and flags everywhere. And each one has different uses and different aesthetics, so I'm going to break them down. The first one is the bounce smash. This is where you have a very strong light just with the reflector attachment behind your subject, and you use it to create a rim light, but then you bounce it into a reflector. In this case, a 2x1 Matthews collapsible reflector that you get as close to talent as possible. This is a pretty stylized 80s/early 90s look that Ridley Scott used a lot, and I have another video that I'll put up here where I go to it in more detail. But you basically commit to blowing out that hair light and really separates your subject, and it certainly has its place. The next one is pushing the light through a 6x6 frame. With the reflector attachment on, it fills the frame pretty nicely. You see that it gets a lot of bounce, and the background lights up as well because you have such a large light source. You're illuminating your subject, but you're also illuminating the environment, so it's not as high contrast. This would work well if you had a big group of people that you wanted to light, or a full-length figure in an action scene, because the 6x6 covers a lot of area. The next one is probably my favorite. It is the light pushing through a glow 34-inch reflector. It doesn't have the internal baffle in, the light's probably at like 10%, and it gives a very beautiful eye light in the eyes. It's very focused, meaning it separates the subject from the background because it's so much closer to the subject than the background that you have the fall off and you get lots of separation. It's much easier to control your ratios with a small light like this. You could even put in the optional egg crate and really almost black out the background, but then your subject is looking, meaning it's a little too obvious that there's artificial light happening here. The last one of these, the above head bounce white card, really surprised me. This was the easiest to do if I was working with another actor, because I'm no longer putting the light in the actor's eye line, I'm putting it above. This makes it a lot easier to interact with the person that you're talking to rather than having a light right in the person's eye. And there's not that big a difference because the light's coming from diagonally down. It's not lighting the background nearly as much as the 6x6 did. And you're able to put the light itself on the floor on a turtle stand, so it's not close to the camera to give any noise problems, though this light's fan is very, very quiet. And even if someone kicked the stand and this piece of board fell on the actor, not even gonna get that serious injuries because it's just foam core. So I would say this is the safest of all the lighting setups. If I was shooting a scene in a feature film, I would happily use all of these on a feature film or a short film, using each one depending on how wide my frame was, what the scene was like, how far the person was from the background, and how much I needed to control spill. To my eye, the softbox and the above head bounce look the best. You have the most control of the ratios, and I would say that the 6x6 looks the worst because it seems to just smash the person in the face with light, but the source is so large that you don't get any of that under chin drop light. But like I said, they're all usable. The advantage of a monolight like this is that you can always soften a hard light, but it's very hard to harden a soft light. You can't use the bounce smash method with tube lights or with a big 4x4 LED panel. I also like that this thing has a ton of power, so that if I was competing with outside, I could do that handily. Whereas if I bring a smaller, like a 60-watt light, I'm not able to turn it up any higher. I'm basically limited by the top brightness, whereas I can always turn a bright light like the Movielight down. That is my look at 4 setups on a single light. If you're interested in more lighting and camera tips, definitely check out Canon Masterclass. I have detailed courses on all the Canon cinema cameras, as well as a ton of videos on lighting, running a production company, using social media to extend your reach, and course blueprints on walk and talk, shooting a thriller, outdoor lighting, and even interview setups. Check the description to links to this gear. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.